What's up, YouTube? It's your boy back again, Jody motherfucking Keith, with another taxi confession story. And this story kind of takes me back a bit. I remember I used to drive all night until the sun came up. Usually my last trip on like a Sunday morning would be 7 in the morning. And I was cruising the back end of the French Quarter, and I was driving and I got flagged down. This guy flagged me down, put this girl in my car. She gets in the car and she's real sad. She gets in the car and we're driving. I don't ever like putting people out of my car the same way they got in it. I try and make it, change their life a little bit, maybe learn something, maybe change my life a little bit. And so, I'm driving. She gives me the address, and I'm guessing, this is about $8 away. So we're driving, and she just starts crying, and I'm like, oh man, this girl's crying. I mean, is something got on? She don't like the song on the radio. What's going on? I'm just trying to guess why she's crying, but I don't want to ask. I said, listen. I said, if you need somebody to talk to, if you want to talk about it, I'm here. I mean, I got a shoulder right here. You back there crying, let me know. She was like, oh no. She's like, oh no, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. Just take me home. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll take you home. So, I'm riding. Don't say anything. I'm not talking at all. She's still back there sniffling. And I'm driving. It's just, other than her crying, not a single word said. I'm driving. I get to her house. Pull up. Pull over. And she's like, how much is it? And I'm like, it's $8.50. So she gave me a 20. I tried to give her a change back, and she already had the door open. She was leaving, and I was like, all right, And so I just kind of slow motion. I didn't immediately drive off. I put the money in my pocket, and I look up, and I sit there for a second, and then I look over. Next thing I know, she's walking back up, and she knocks on the window. So I roll down the window. She's like, hey. And I'm like, hey. She's like, hey, do you think I could get back in the cab? I said, yeah, you get back in the cab. She's like, I don't really know where I want to go. And I'm like, well, wherever you want to go, I'll take you, but don't be in no hurry about telling me, just, figure it out. She's like, well, you think maybe you could ride around and just, I could pay you to just ride around and just talk to you? And I was like, well, of course, I mean, that's what people do all the time. They pay me to ride around, the conversation's free. She's like, well, how much would you charge me? I said, look, I'm done for the night. You need somebody to talk to. Let's just ride around. Don't worry about it. So we start riding around, and she tells me about the, her ex-boyfriend this, and he came in town, and they broke up, and, she's dancing over here at whatchamacallit, and she had a rough night with that, and then I try to change it up and start talking about some happy stuff. We're riding all around town. We go through City Park. We're hitting Bayou St. John, and I don't have the meter on. We're just riding around, and then every so often I have my console open. She would just drop a $20 bill in the console, and I was like, all right, cool, So we're riding, and then I start telling one story after the next. What I love about cab stories is once you tell one, it just opens you up to the next story, And so we're riding around. She's just dropping 20s in there and dropping 20s in there, and and then she dropped a 10 in there, and then I got her laughing, and I told her this cab joke, and she liked it, and she was telling me her family came into town, and they found out that she was dancing, and they pretty much disowned her, and her brother was pissed off, and I was like, man. I was like feeling real bad for this girl, and then she was talking about this restaurant. She was like, "Oh, Kushan, you ever been to Kushan?" I was like, "Nah, I never been to Kushan." She's like, "That's my favorite restaurant in New Orleans," because we got to talking about restaurants. I was like, "Oh yeah," I said, "Love to go there." And she was like, "Oh yeah," she's like, "I was supposed to go with my brother," and then she got sad again. But then he came to town. They found out I was a stripper, and then they disowned me and they left. We didn't go eat there. I said, we can go over there and eat whenever you want. She was like, oh, yeah, we should go. I was like, yeah, we should go. So through the whole ride, I finally cheered her up and then dropped her off, and she was smiling. Got her not to worry about any of her problems. And then I looked up, and I gave her my number, and she was like, oh, yeah, you're going to be my cab driver? I gave her my number. And then she's like, we're going to go eat at Kushan. I said, hell yeah, we're going to go eat at Kushan. And then she got out, and I drove off, and I realized I had like $240 in my console. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she gave me 20 on the front end. I must have rode around with her for about an hour and a half, just bullshitting, riding around, telling stories like I do. And I was like, damn. I said, I was just trying to go home. I was like 7 o'clock. I was getting my last fare, and then next thing you know, it's 9:30. And I'm up 240. I'm like, wow. And then really, I changed that girl's life. I felt like, I was like, man, she was crying when she got out of my cab. She got back in it, and I got another shot to change her mind about things. And it was crazy because never heard from her again. The next like week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I was waiting for her to call me. I thought we were gonna go to Kashan. She never called me. I mean, I was gonna treat, obviously, She never called me. So then I was like, all right, completely forgot about her. And then I actually casually ran back into her with one of my regular customers. I picked her up and she was going to look at an apartment, and they shared a cab, and sure enough, it was her. She got out, walked in front of my cab, stopped, looked at me, and then she's like, I think he drove me before. And I was like, oh yeah. You know what? I completely forgot about you, but it's been, what has it been, 2 years? It's been 2 years, and here you are. I said, looks like you got everything figured out, That's good, I missed out on Kashan, so I feel a little played about that. But she was like, oh yeah, we were supposed to go to... I said, oh yeah, well, we can still do it. That place is still in business. Obviously, she never called me. But whatever, I hit that lick. It was cool. She was nice, I'm not worried about the Kashan. I'll go get it on my own time. But, it's pretty cool, when you just run into people again years later. And especially somebody that you felt like you made a connection with. But I guess they didn't feel the same way. But I might have been the right thing for her at that point in time, because she was in a bad place. So, always try and, always try and uplift people. You never know what people are going through. And, you might get a free meal out of it. Or maybe you just go eat by yourself. Either way, do good by people and it all works out, Well, thanks for tuning in. Hide your kids, hide your wives. Tell your friends where to find us in the Goon Squad. If you like the story, like, comment, subscribe. Tell your friends. And I'll catch you on the next one. One love, good vibes.